I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like. All right. What's up, world? Welcome again to another edition of I Mix What I Like Live. I am Jared Ball, happy to be your host. And as always, please check us out at imixwhatilike.org and at imixwhatilike for all your relevant social media. Please, of course, as I always like to ask, subscribe everywhere, of course, and follow, do all of that. But at imixwhatilike.org in particular, because that's where you can catch more than just these live streams and discussions here, but all of the multimedia work that I and my associated crew do. And there's a lot of it. And if you ever need, research or some backlog or just to get caught up on some Africana world discussions, we have an extensive and pretty thorough catalog going back about the last 20 years. So all available for free. We invite you to check that out and enjoy. Later on this evening, if you can, those who are live now, please come on back at about 7 o'clock Eastern time, where the fun and engagement we're about to have here is going to get extended again, where two of my favorite politically motivated rappers, DC hip hop, literally the mayor of DC hip hop, Head Rock, and Tim Hicks of the Cornell West Theory are going to be joining me for some more fun and politics and rhyme and revolution. So come on back for that as well. So again, normally I'm always talking about, follow or support a political prisoner or the work of those doing support for political prisoners. And I would, of course, do that again now. But since that is definitely going to come up in the next hour, let me go ahead and get the business out of the way, because as Ross already noted, there's going to be a lot of fun and learning going on over the next hour or so. So though he's running a little late, apparently, he'll be here in a minute. One of our guests, the co-founders of the Renegade Culture podcast, which, let me just say, is literally my favorite single podcast show, whatever, at this point. The work that they do, the politics, the perfect blend of music, hip hop, radical militancy, aggressive, unabashed, proud blackness, anyway, some of the traditional quote unquote manhood and all that stuff that I would have always been attracted to growing up around, wanted to follow and try to evolve into. All of that is, to me, on display in that program. It's real grassroots political organizing, traditions of that work, thoughtful scholarship and journalism, and media production, all in one spot. The Renegade Culture podcast. Please, I'll put all the links around here if you aren't already familiar, and get on board with that. One of the co-founders, somebody I've been paying attention to for a number of years, is Kalonji Jama Changa. He's an award-winning political activist, hailed as one of the most effective community organizers in the United States. He is a founder and national coordinator of the social justice organization FTP movement. He has steered the growth and development of programs such as the International Feed the People, Urban Survival Preparedness Institute, SIAFU Youth Corps, National Coalition to Combat Police Terrorism, and more. He did that work with Sister Cynthia McKinney and, of course, Daruba bin Wahad. Kalonji is author of the best-selling book, How to Build a People's Army, and co-producer of the documentary, Organizing is the New Cool. Changa has also been featured on numerous media outlets, including some we don't need to mention. I don't even know why I put them in the bio. All these other media commercial spots we don't need to support. But he can be followed at Kalonji Changa. The other brother is somebody I've been following, even somewhat more directly, because I considered myself as having followed him into the Malcolm X grassroots movement so many years ago. I've had the pleasure of publishing with him, building with him, working with him, watching him do a lot of stuff around the country, and of course participating in this podcast. And that is of course Kamau Franklin, who is a former movement attorney and dedicated community organizer for more than 25 years, first in New York City and now in the South. Franklin recently started a new grassroots entity called Community Movement Builders, of which I am a member. a grassroots organization dedicated to the ideas of self-determination and Malcolm X. Kamau helped drive critical campaigns against police misconduct and creating sustainable urban communities. Franklin has led and developed community cop watch programs, youth freedom school move programs, electoral and policy campaigns, large-scale community gardens, organizing collectives, and alternatives to incarceration programs. He can be followed on Twitter at Kamau Franklin. So let's go ahead and get started. Kamau, you're here, brother. Thank you very much for joining us. I know Kalonji is I don't know, he's got to make his grand entrance.
He's late as always, B. I have to deal with it on the show all the time. So
I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? He's a prima donna. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why, but he's a prima donna. So, but you got the best half of the partnership right here.
There it is. Okay. All right. Well, look, he must have heard.
Oh, here he comes. Here he comes.
Oh, man.
He just showed up.
He got the bad lighting set up. You got
bad lighting.
The light is messed up.
Because you're not supposed to have the light in the camera face the lighting. The light is supposed to be in front of you, not behind you.
Okay.
Like if you turned around and faced the window.
Should I bust you?
You never do that.
Okay.
But
pause 1 second. Don't be talking about
see, if I was one of those news outlets that he had been on that he put in his bio,
wow,
he might have been set. But he was like, it's just Jared, you know.
Wow.
It's whatever.
But I've been telling him this for weeks, for months. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, what are you doing? Anytime he comes on the Zoom call, it's always like some bad lighting, something that's falling off behind him. You know, that's what I got to do. You know what I'm saying?
It's hard out here, man.
It's difficult for sure. But
hold tight. Don't get too excited.
Yeah. No, it's all good. And
I get treated real bad around these parts, man.
And by the way, so I didn't mention it. We for those who are live, I don't know if any of you were paying attention. Now? That's much better. We got the books.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Let me make sure I know what books behind.
You got the three books here. The 3 books you read.
Wow. What's happening? How y'all feeling?
As good as could be expected, man. It's good to see you.
Good to see you, brother. Haven't heard from you since the 80s.
It's been a minute.
Yes, sir.
Since I had a full afro.
Okay. I feel like this colorism going on. Y'all got the dark skin.
You know that was going to happen.
That's good, of course. The inverted pyramid.
That's what it is.
The inverted pyramid. That's
okay.
Right.
Okay.
That's
okay.
Right.
This is what happened in Egypt.
In fact. So I said before before Kalonji got here, that in my little crew, I said whenever I see your show, I get positively jealous, the good jealous. And that I say like that you do what I wish we could do. You do in many ways a better version than what we could do. One, because we were on traditional radio, so we couldn't get linguistically where you go. But none of the three in my crew, we do pretty okay intellectually, but we don't have the grassroots community chops that you all have. And that's why I'm saying that, and connections and links. So that's why I've always said that and continue to say that you all are my favorite podcast, because it is the perfect blend of the politics, the relationship to the community, the humor, relatively the same generation. So I get all the jokes and all the references. I mean, it's so anyway. But just before we started, my man was saying that I should start the what was he gonna call it? I have to get him to dang, I missed it. He said I need to start it's a version of oh man, I forgot. I got to get him to. Maybe he's watching. He'll text it to me. But it's supposed to be the version. But it's the version of whatever radical group. The special haters group that's just for the light skin and the mixed folks, particularly mixed folks with a white parent, but who black radical as much as anybody else. So he was like me, Kamau, Mjiba, Freya Watt, Colin Kaepernick. I can't remember. So anyway, me and Kamau, we're building the base right here.
Sean King.
No, Sean King. No, first of all, I'm because he's black, and I'm offended at that. But no Obama, no Drake.
Okay.
Who else was already banned?
Oh man,
they don't they don't black it up properly. So
They'll black it up.
And I can only join in the wintertime because in the summer I tan up real dark. So
See,
I can't.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I peeped that.
Yeah, I tried even going to Panama for the summer, and I just burnt. So
I'm looking to see who the light is, Jared. You might.
I think I win.
Right now.
I think I win.
Okay. Okay. So maybe I should call yourself the NFCC crew, not fucking with color crew. You got there too.
That's it. But listen, I did want to say that I did offer some trivia because in all the love I have for the work that you all do, I do want to try to support it financially. So I told people, to the extent anyone paid attention, that if anybody gets the trivia, I got $50 on Renegade Culture swag. And by the way, it's renegadeculture.org, right? Or is it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because it's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, that's the Patreon. No, let me jump in. The Patreon is Crew Renegade Culture at Patreon. So for that purpose, that's the Patreon. But they can go to the Renegade Culture website and also find that, and on SoundCloud and some other places.
Right.
But specifically for the swag.
And also, let me jump in.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. No, let Kalonji answer for the swag.
What's that? Oh, yeah, it's renegadeculture.org. Definitely.
Okay.
So when anytime we talk about money, come out like, hold on.
Gotta get it straight. You gotta get the dollar straight. You know what I'm saying?
He don't want you to donate to no other crew. So that's good. But yeah, renegadeculture.org is where the swag is. We're actually remixing the site right now. So first of the year, you'll see some new improved things, So, we're definitely excited, man, because of the fact that we have some new types of swag coming out,
Oh, right on. So if anybody gets the trivia I'm about to throw out there, right, they will get $50 from me in swag. So they can, I don't know how we'll work it out. We'll email, they can figure it out. Let's see if anybody gets it. If they get it, we'll work out the whatever.
Right.
So there's I don't know, there's a handful of folks out here. Let's see if anybody wants to. I'll start it and we'll see if anybody gets it even by the end of the show. Because even if they take time to Google stuff, I don't know if they can get all of this. All right. So the first one is so Renegade Culture has 5 core members, 2 of whom are here live. If you can name, I'll tell you what, let's do it this way. Let's do it by email. Whoever gets it, so I get the first email, I can timestamp it. So I'm going to put the email, I mixwhatilike@gmail.com. Put that in the text or whatever, and I'll put it up down here. Anybody, let me even just create a quick banner real quick. And then I don't know which one of you has the echo.
Echo?
Neither of you have Kalonji. Do you happen to have headphones, Kalonji? Or I'm gonna ask, I might just ask.
Oh yeah.
That would help.
I do. Hold on 1 second.
All right, thank you very much. Let's see. No, I don't need to do that. Let's do this. All right, so there's the email address. All right. And it'll be timestamped so we can see who the winners would be. Trivia question number 1. So there's 5 core members of Renegade Culture, 2 of whom are here. If you can name 2 of the other 3, that's part 1. So who are the 2 of the other 3 remaining members of Renegade Culture, not currently live? All right. Number 2, Renegade Culture has a theme song that they do. If you can tell me the origins of that theme song, so that if you can do the origins of that theme song, that's part 2. And then the third one is if you can name the guest with the most appearances. If you can name the guest with the most appearances on Renegade Culture. Hashtag it's a trick question.
Wow.
You can get it. So that's 3 things. 1, name 2 of the other 3 members of Renegade Culture. The original track that the Renegade Culture theme song is based on. And then if you get those two, I'll give you the prize. And if you name the guest with the most single appearances, we'll come up with a bonus prize for that. All right. And then so we'll start with that and see how folks do with that over the next. Ross, you're supposed to email that, brother. You giving it away. That's one of the you giving it away. Email the answers so that you don't give it away and get your credit. But well done. Well done. We can give Ross credit for that one.
Okay. Who's that?
If you see in the chat, Ross DePina, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, it looks like he has gotten 2 of the 3 other members who are not here.
Oh, okay.
Asking him to email it to the address here so that they don't, he don't have to give it away. You know what I mean? I'm peace. Yeah.
I'm just noticing the chat. All right.
Okay.
Blocked off. Okay.
Okay. Right. And peace to Ricky Ryan as well. Shout out to Hood Communist, who's going to be coming up on a later edition of our Mix What I Like Live. So definitely be around for that. Okay, everybody. So let's see. I'll check the email in a second, but I did want to get us started with something to ask you all about. You all. I talked about you all have this what I think is as perfect a blend as possible of the politics and the humor and the culture. Is there anything that you would need in terms of describing what Renegade Culture is meant to do as a project that isn't covered in my short little description there? Because I do want to specifically ask you to explain some of that or cover some more of that, but ask you specifically about some of the work you all have been doing recently with that blends all of this. I mean, you have been active in putting Panthers together with famous commercial rappers, with protesting in the streets, with bringing activists from across the Black political spectrum on your show, having interesting debates and exchanges even. Anyway, so I'm interested in that sort of nexus that you all ride in with the program. And either one of you can please get started, but what do you all think? Is there anything more that I'm missing in terms of describing the project that you all are engaged in here?
You want to jump off first, Kamau?
Yeah, I do that. I mean, I think for me, I'll say it's one of those things that came together somewhat organically, as in me and Kalonji started developing a working relationship and started doing some workshops together, and then started doing a little bit of organizing together. Obviously, we've known each other for years, but never worked closely with each other. I feel like both of us at some points in our lives around, even in organizing, something that we've been centered in, have also been sort of sometimes outcast, even in the same world that we do work in. So it was kind of this cool, like bringing together these cats who folks are like, sometimes they think is dangerous. They don't want to mess with them. They got something to say about them, but they won't say it to their faces, kind of thing. All that was in there. And then it was like, we're doing all this kind of work, and there's so many good shows that do politics, but there's not a lot of good shows that cover our politics that also have a sense of humor about it, where it looks like there's like some camaraderie between the hosts, where you can tell that people care for each other, love Black folks, want to make sure people get this information, but also want to have a good time. So for me, it slowly developed. And at first it was somewhat recreational. And then I think the more we started doing it, the more feedback we got. It sort of fit neatly into an organizing strategy, particularly around media work. So I think that is how it sort of ties together. We both do this grassroots organizing work. We continue to do sort of political education work, and this just blends it together in another way that folks don't always have to take too seriously. And so that's how I feel for me. It works in terms of all the other stuff that I try to do. It's not a lot of places where like Kamau K. Franklin gets to curse online or curse on air, because usually just even as a lawyer background, people expect a certain presentation, and usually that's what I give it to them, just giving information. So to sort of like, anybody who knows me personally knows that I have a little wild sense of humor, or I'm sarcastic, and it's that whole Brooklyn thing. And so this was like the first opportunity to sort of express it to a bigger audience, as opposed to just my personal friendship network.
Right.
No doubt. Yeah. I'm sitting here. I'm listening to it. Kamau sounded all deep and shit. I'm gonna say this. I think that part of it is, what we've used as organizing tools for years, something we call creative resistance. And with the whole creative resistance piece is what we call the cherry cough drop theory. We make it taste so good they forget it's medicine, right? Oftentimes you have organizers who have such a dull, bland, remix the 60-ish type program, and they wonder why they can't attract, the lumpen. They can't attract the everyday man, woman, and child. So our whole particular piece is kind of like that old barbershop style. You know what I mean? Where we sit around and we kick the shit. With the organization I come out of, FTP movement, we've always used that type of method. We've used, we try to find what is it that people are into. You know what I mean? At one point, poetry was big. So we used, we did a thing called Poets for Political Prisoners, where we used poets from Def Poetry Jam. Then we knew that hip hop was big on a local level. So we created a thing called Crew Love, where the artists can have the opportunity to get involved in this movement work. You know what I mean? They can get involved in doing the things that we do. Artists, visual artists. We've done a number of different art shows and focusing on like Geronimo Pratt and Gil Scott-Heron and folks like that. So it was natural with the whole podcast piece, because that's kind of the flavor of the month. It's kind of the thing that folks are into now. People listen to podcasts. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, not too many of our people were really into podcasts like they are now. So we took it, and I think that the beautiful thing about it is the fact that we have movement history. You know what I mean? So we can kind of feed off each other because of the fact we have similar politics, not necessarily the same politics. We differ in certain ways, but at the same time, we have enough where we can, we have enough points of unity where we're able to work together. You know what I mean? And then we both have a quote unquote sense of humor. Of course, I'm way funnier than Kamau. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I was made. Otherwise, he's more.
So now it's the blacker the berry, the funnier the juice. Is that what we're saying now?
Listen, my light skinned bro.
I think he doesn't understand the difference between being laughed at and being laughed. People laughing with them. So we got.
It's a fine line.
Yeah. But it's definitely. I mean, we're going. I mean, for all practical purposes, Kamau and I have been working together officially for 3 years. That's not even including the podcast. So with the podcast, we're going on like 2 years in May. You know what I mean? So I think it's a phenomenal piece for us to come out with damn near 100 episodes and to be able to feed off of each other. And oftentimes, of course, Jared, because of the fact you've been on the show a couple times, you know that, most of the time we freestyle this thing, man. It's just like, boom, this is what's going on. This is the topics. Go. You know what I mean? And usually our guests are like, man, did you guys just make all that up? Like, yeah, Kamau's a great liar. He's a lawyer. So we're able to maneuver. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, so it makes a dope show.
Well, it also helps, because it's clear that you're always thinking about these issues. So when they come up on the show, it's not, it may look like it's the first time, but it's really not. I did want to ask you more about that, speaking of fine lines, that line you all walk when you do bring in, you literally brokered meetings with Dhoruba bin Wahad and T.I. and Killer Mike. Like Ludacris, how and Ludacris. Yeah, what is talk Big about Crit. That a little bit. Yeah. Go ahead. Who was that last one?
Ludacris, Big Crit, Sekou Odinga, Bilal Sunni Ali. We had an incredible, so much so that when we stepped in the room and we were sitting there, we was like, how the hell did this happen? Because it's like two total ends of the spectrum. But go ahead.
Yeah. Now I was going to say quickly. Some of it is that relationship, right? Of the long-term work that we've done with Panthers, former political prisoners, actually current political prisoners, political exiles, even, right? So right. We have steep in grassroots movement politics, the most radical Black nationalist politics. That's where we come out of. Those have been the soldiers that we've respected, that we've sort of tried to learn from, take after, duplicate their work, try to take off some of the rough edges of things that we think they might have gotten wrong, have those discussions with them even, right? So I think that's what gives us the relationship to even have those conversations. And so even when Yoruba during the last uprising over George Floyd was looking to sort of get a message out, he turned to us and we had some conversations around what is it that they wanted to do. And part of that was reaching a broader audience. And he wanted to reach, because he thought, and I think somewhat rightfully in some ways, that our youth are still captured by hip hop artists. Hip hop artists are almost like political leaders, whether we like it or not, right? So, right. And he wanted to do something to reach out to some of those folks. And so, he wrote, I edited, Kalonji reached out, we put it on your I mix what I like .org. And then, did like anybody did, sort of beat the drums to on social media to get the word out. And then these cats started responding. And from there, we took it little by little and started trying to come up with what was the best, particularly with the COVID, right? So what was the best way to work to see whether or not we can get a larger meeting to see what ideas or what practically speaking can come out of it. And it's not just something where, famous rappers get to meet Panthers and Panthers get to meet famous rappers. But, in long term, what is it that can come out of this kind of work so that we can continue doing radical stuff on the ground, right? So that's kind of like the origins of it. It's like, how do we start reaching these folks that people use them, particularly the hip hop artists, for endorsements or to give a cool word to something. But very rarely does anybody want to challenge them themselves on, look, I know you want to help the community, but just because you open up a bank account, you can't put that on not even vibrate, but take that off, Pete. You can't do that for like 5 minutes.
Oh, my bad.
5 minutes. You don't even see frozen. Look at him.
Great.
So it was kind of like, what can we do? And we're still trying to figure it out, right? What can you do that's just not some mainstream civic engagement type of thing that you're expected to do? What can you do that's deeper in the community? And I think time will tell whether or not something larger can come out of it or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think that well, because it always comes up, when Ice Cube was doing his thing and or Mike with the banks or whatever, when people are doing these things, people, obviously a lot of us have opinions or views of it. But from your perspective, is it fair to say that these folks are, whatever mistakes they may be making, they're grappling with stuff too. They're trying to find their way in this wilderness of ideas and politics too, right? So, because sometimes people get really hostile in their critiques of some of these artists when they start seeing them veer into the political lane. And I think with some legitimacy, there's some skepticism of it. But I think you've seen another side of that. Am I getting that right? In terms of their interest in these politics, at least, or learning something beyond what's on TV. I don't know.
I think that like Kwame Ture said, Stokely Carmichael, we got to meet the people where they at. And I think that oftentimes we forget that we're dealing with an individual who has a job, for a lack of better words. Now, whether that job is working for the state or if they're legitimately just some artists or whatever, of course, as Che Guevara said, the role of the artist is just as important as the role of the propagandist. Propagandist is just as important as the role of the guerrilla. Now, we're clear about what our role is, but a lot of them aren't clear. We're in Atlanta. And a lot of these rappers are dumb as fuck. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just saying that not all rappers, there's some who study, there's some that research, there's some who are serious about what it is, they're serious about politics, but there's some who are clueless. You know what I mean? They just happen to luck up on a situation. So we have to, before, as I was saying about Kwame Ture, we have to, he said, give them a chance. You know what I'm saying? They don't get it right the first time, we give them another chance. They don't get it right the second time, we give them another chance. They're going to get it right the third time, then we're going to off them. You know what I mean? we're clear about what our politics are. Now, we're not talking about putting them in the trunk or anything like that.
Figuratively.
Yes. However, we know that if we have to deal with them, we got to deal with them. And I think that one of the beautiful things about our position in this particular community is that a lot of these artists, they respect our work. They see that we're not just begging for money. They see that we're not just out here talking a whole bunch of shit. We have tangible goods. We have production. We have results. You know what I mean? And they know that we don't. Can you curse on I Mix What I Like?
Yeah, man.
Okay. And they know we don't give a fuck. They know they know that we will call you out wherever you at, on your stage, in front of the governor, in front of the mayor, in front of the police. So they kind of try to keep us close by because of the fact that it's like, look, how this song go? You don't want no problems with me. They know that they don't want those issues or whatever because of the fact that we're uncouth and we're liable to say anything.
Yeah, and by the way, the language is fine. I found that I'm just stuck in my old radio ways. I have a hard time letting go, but you feel free. And plus, my kids are running around, and I don't know, man.
Now you're gonna make me feel bad. The kids.
No, don't. They can't hear you. They can hear me though. Oh, excuse me. They can't hear you, but they can hear me. So
Cool.
But it's all good.
Yeah.
Kamau, did you have anything to add to that? I can't remember where we were on that question.
No, I mean, I think it's right to say that we live in a time where, because of social media, folks are ready to blast, right? Everybody's ready to blast. The woke people are ready to blast. Artists are ready to blast. Everyday people are ready to blast. And so, it's one of the reasons why you can't just settle in and think about movement, because everybody's sort of caught up in their own space and time and trying to look good for 16 characters or whatever. And they think they have a gotcha moment, and then, they feel like they've done some work. So I think the bigger question for all of us in these spaces is, with whatever political differences we may have, are there linkages that, even if someone concentric circles, even if someone is over there, but there's some linkages that can be had, is it more valuable to get some of those linkages together because it builds a larger, wider, bigger movement, gives us more areas to work in, gives us more resources to work in? Can we do that? Can we figure that out, as opposed to first and foremost trying to look good for somebody else, right? Or trying to make ourselves feel good. So I just think that's the bigger thing for me. I feel like I have the ability. I work with a wide range of people whose politics I don't necessarily agree with completely, again. But at the end of the day, is there enough in common that it helps what I would think, forward our movement? And like Kalonji said, if it doesn't, then, peace be out, move on. And we may battle in public, we may battle in private, whatever it is. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. But you can't, live in a movement where it's everybody's got 100% agreement, because then you got your 6 people, and that's not going to be enough, right? So I just think that's part of the strategy and struggle that we all have to deal with, that we're going to be talking about. We want to liberate Black people, right? Nobody, not to go off the deep end, but, you look at the Vietnamese revolution, other revolutions, people use the bourgeoisie, right? They used them for a time period that makes sense. And then when my man said, when it's time makes sense and you need to understand no longer, and some throats got to be cut, then so be it, right? Or if you're smart enough to understand, if you're part of the bourgeoisie, that this is the new order of things, right? Then you can be down still, but you can't. But no one runs a revolution strictly off some small ideological footprint that is not able to expand to reach a lot of people and get a lot of people involved. Even obviously, some people you got to cut out. You got to cut out early, but you got to get a lot of people involved. So I just think that's part of what the struggle is.
To add on real quick, briefly, I've been organizing 34 years, right? And I think that one of the things I learned, in my earlier stages, I was kind of on some old, against the grain. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, everything is hardcore, quote unquote, militant. I'm fatigued out. You know what I mean? I'm RBG'd out. I'm fuck this, fuck that, so on and so forth. And it was like swimming against the stream. You know what I mean? And it's tough when you're going against, going against the currents. You know what I mean? It's harder to swim. So I had to learn to meet people where they're at. You know what I mean? And one of the issues that I have is oftentimes we get people asking us about, hey, do these artists support you all? What have they done? Do they do anything? Like, motherfucker, have you supported us? That's the ultimate question. You know what I mean? I don't expect, and I'm a different type of organizer. I don't expect a motherfucker whose music that I don't support to support me. If you're supporting this artist, it's just like a black business. You want black businesses to support you, but you don't want to support black business. You want to say, okay, boom, support black business when they're buying from you. But when it comes to them buying from you buying from them, then it's like, oh man, I can't get a hookup. You know what I'm saying? You can't hook a brother up. You know what I mean? So we have this ill dynamic where we're looking to everyone else to see what it is they're doing when we're not doing shit ourselves. And I think that oftentimes it's like a way of hiding the fact that you're inoperable, hiding the fact that you're inactive. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's like my uncle used to say, my drunk uncle, don't worry about the snake in the grass, worry about your own ass. What is it that you're bringing forth to the table? And the answer is nothing, then fuck what Killer Mike talking about. You understand what I'm saying? Because this movement still got to move, whether it's a Killer Mike, whether it's a T.I., you know what I'm saying, or whoever else. You know what I mean? But I don't put all my weight on these guys or whatever because of the fact that they're not my saviors. You know what I mean? I look at them as artists, and I don't want an artist to speak on my behalf when it comes to movement and revolution. I'd rather call Jared Ball. Jared Ball.
All right, so that's a good time to take a quick look here. So folks, let me just put this email back up because some of you, I think, this is my first time trying this trivia thing, so maybe I wasn't clear. You got to get all of the questions right, and then maybe I need, since I didn't put them up, to get the prize. So several of you have gotten, and I think Ebony even, was that the right name? Had. So Ross, you got the names. Ebony, Joy, you got all three of the missing names. But Jamal got the first email with two of the names, but that's all you got. Like the rest of that's only 1/3 of the trivia, or half of the trivia. So it's not just the two missing or currently not with us members of Renegade Culture, but it's also the original track from which they get their theme song. So you first have to know what their theme song is, and then you have to know where it comes from. And then if you can name the person that has the most single appearances on Renegade Culture, then you're in line for some kind of special prize. We'll have to determine later. We'll have to figure that out. But all of it is designed to get swag so that we can all rock our Renegade Culture stuff. And when I get this stimulus check, I'm gonna get a mug or something to go with what I already got coming. I got to get a when we get that big fat stimulus check. Which, by the way, I wanted to ask you all. You had a number of classic programs, but one of them has to have been that. I think was it the pre or post election? Was it the election wrap up or the pre-election discussion where you had the Trump brother, Ben Dixon, and the sister's name I can't remember, and it became a fire starter show.
Yeah. Hey, wait till you see the unedited version.
Yeah, the Big Black Political Showdown, something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember if it was before. I think it was right before the election, if I'm not mistaken. Because I think we did a post-election show that you was on, Jared. So that was right before.
Right, that's right.
And
and
it was meant to be. It was meant to be this conversation of folks who had some. It's almost like I don't want to. It was like this guy who had like obviously a vastly different political ideology than anybody there, but in some small way represents a segment of the Black community. That's right. Right. And something that we should be able to discuss and debate. Now, I expected more debate. I expected more debate, nuanced debate. But at some point, people got they swag on. Woo! And then it became like, everybody's challenging each other left and right. And one of the hosts lost their mind, was telling people to shut the fuck up and sit down. They're about to hit them with the head with something. I don't know who that was. But,
I'm not going to switch. It's one of us, but not me.
But one of the reasons why I bring it up now is because I don't know if you all pay attention to this. This might be just my own narrow comedic news thing. But I know, you know, I follow Ben Dixon in his show, and he's been in this beef with Jimmy Dore. I don't know if you've been paying attention to any of this. I would love to hear what you all. I would love to know what you all think of it. But the other day, because you were talking about how one of the hosts behaved during the thing. The other day, Ben goes and does a live stream where he just sits down with a drink, and for like 30 minutes, it's just F Jimmy, F this, F that. And if he comes around here, I'm gonna knock him out with words. You know, I mean, he was all this. I was like, what? I mean, it was wild. And I find myself agreeing with Jimmy Dore because he's just saying we need Medicare for all, make them vote on it, and expose the people not doing it. But it was, as I was telling my buddy off the air, I was having my nationalisms were all getting torn upside down. As I'm sitting here watching Ben Dixon, I was like, I can't agree with you on this one. Yeah. And he's over here, but the white man just wants a pool. And I'm like, but the white man that wants a pool is making a better argument for in terms of what the anyway. Yeah. Right. So part of it I'm asking because I'm curious if you all are paying attention, but I'm also asking because it reminded me again of why I love your show and why you know what I'm trying to do because for so many of us, those conversations for me may be funny and enjoyable and get the popcorn and kick back. But politically, they're like, yeah, I think we all should have health care, but this is not the conversation that I want to be having. And if I'm going to be effing and kick somebody, and if I'm inviting somebody to come fight me, I'm damn sure not going to be Jimmy Dore. You know, anyway, I just was curious if you all had any thoughts about that.
I'll let Kamau rock with that. I missed that particular piece. I just recall Ben on the show, you know, on our show. But go ahead, Kamau.
Yeah. And Ben, even on our show, Ben, I feel like Ben got a little bit of like, I don't know, like, you know, I met Ben a couple of times. I didn't know that Ben had that kind of like, you know, I'm about to vote on you kind of feel. He did that on our show too. I was like, oh, my man about to. I was like, what's going on? So I followed a little bit. And I was, I find myself too agreeing more with the Doran dude because it's like all he's saying is instead of voting for Pelosi, make them take the vote, right? If you guys are not in the Democratic camp, right? It's all like, you know, these and some of these folks I love, I respect or whatever. I think they do great work, and I think they're doing important work in terms of trying to push the Democratic Party. At least that, you know, ostensibly trying to push the Democratic Party, but at some point, you got to really push them. You can't just use your words. You got to have the folks who are saying that they're the left center. I mean, the left base of the Democratic Party to say, no, I'm not going to vote for that person. Why? Because they're not calling this floor vote, right? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with saying let's challenge these people openly? And again, my assumption is based on the rhetoric of a lot of these other folks that that's what they're saying we should be doing anyway. So It can't be when a challenge is issued, then you get black. And be like, you can't challenge these folks to do ABC now because it doesn't help your politic out. Because then it only sounds like we're caping for the Democratic Party. So we got to be careful of that. We can't just because the white man says. I mean, it's like one of these intellectual things that we do sometimes. Is that those of us who not even declares ourselves nationalists, we get more nationalists than not when we're trying to protect something else. And so a white man says something all of a sudden, whatever. I'm like, sometimes you got to listen to what the person is saying and not necessarily what their skin is. And does that make sense politically or logically or intellectually? And if it does, then let's deal with it or answer it. I mean, and that's part of the issue around some of the woke stuff that we have today. I'm more interested in what people think and what their policies and their ideas and their intellectual thought, their philosophies are. I'd rather have that debate than just dismiss somebody outright because it's not coming out of either the skin or the gender or sexual orientation that I prefer, right? I'm not as concerned that I'm concerned about your politics, right? And so at the end of the day, I think that's part of what the back and forth is, and I think that's something that folks are struggling with, even when like narrow nationalists struggle with it a lot. So, but I think folks got to struggle with that around what ideas will push us forward, particularly if you were in that arena. Like we're not even in that, or I'm not even really in that arena. I don't want to do that much civic engagement work. I think there's so many folks doing it that I think the grassroots organizing is the place where people are not doing that work and organize on the street. And that's what I want to fight over, right? I want to fight over why I can't get you in my community. Why you feel more comfortable talking to the city council person, the mayor, the governor, Pelosi, than you do coming down to the block and talking to folks on the block. That's what I wanted. That's what I want to have my arguments with people over.
Right on. By the way, shout out to Vance Levy, old man Vance, the mayor of DC Hip Hop Head Rock. He'll be joining us with Tim Hicks later on tonight, 7:00 Eastern time. So peace to him, and stick around if you can. Yeah, I thought, first of all, I don't know where Ben is specifically, but the two brothers I know he works with on his program, they do, and they openly discuss this. I mean, they work with Democratic Party PACs. They take Act Blue money for their work. So they're definitely promoting the Democratic Party. So I get on some level why they would have a problem with Jimmy Dore, but I just thought, anyway, first of all, I thought he was just exposing that rift in the in the so-called left or progressive group that exists in this country that I enjoy. I just enjoy. I want to see them fall out. I want to see them argue, because I disagree with all of them on some level. Like, after that initial, I want healthcare. I know Jimmy and I probably don't have many core politics in agreement. And after certain basic points of love of blackness, I don't know that Ben and I would have that much in common, at least given his stance on this issue. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, go ahead, man. Kalonji, you were going to say something?
I was going to say, yeah. And I was going to say it's difficult when you're playing the role of the journalist because of the fact that you have to come with this whole, what do you call it? Objective type program. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You're trying not to just say how you feel oftentimes, but that shit usually don't fly on Renegade Culture because of the fact that it works for about 10, 15 minutes and then we forget where the hell we are. But we get a lot of tough guys on Renegade Culture. Everybody gets tough, especially on Zoom.
Right. Yeah, he was. I mean, he definitely got tough.
It becomes a whole nother program. But
so I appreciate you, Butterscotch Sweet. I can't agree.
Kamau's
my bad, Kalonji. My bad. I thought you I think you froze up or I was talking over you. I didn't mean to talk over you. We don't have to relitigate this here, but I don't.
Say what you're saying. I think my computer's freezing up. I'm not sure.
Yeah, a little bit. There's some there's some delay there for sure. I think Butterscotch Sweets is missing Jimmy's argument, but I don't want to relitigate that here. And that's not really his point is that they should be challenging Nancy Pelosi to get everybody national health care during a pandemic. And the argument against that Pelosi will lose her speakers and all that is not legit. In that if the argument is if we can't get national health care with Nancy Pelosi, then who cares if there's a Republican there? If we're going to get denied national health care from, who cares what party's doing it? But anyway, and then AOC lost her committee seat anyway. So like she defended and then lost the seat anyway. So anyway, but my point is that I love watching that. But I also love knowing that that's not the center of the conversations that you all have, that I want to have, that I think we need to have. I don't think they're unimportant, and I would like to see more of us involved in those conversations. But at the same time, I like knowing that while they're falling apart and collapsing, that's not anyway. That's not where we are in all of that.
I was going to say. I'll say quickly. Yeah. Sometimes it brings joy to know for a change that it's not your group that's having those same fights. Because I agree. I think it's an area of interest, but again, I think there is so much resources that are poured into getting us into civic engagement, and there's a reason for that, right? For me, it's part of like what I call movement capture, right? There's a reason that the Democrats spend so much money. And I'm not even saying some of it is not good for Black people to be involved in per se, but when we center it in our politics, we forget about all other things that we need to do. And in my opinion, the more important things to bring benefit to our community and to organize our folks, right? And just getting folks to vote don't mean that you organizing them, right? We gotta be able to get folks to do a lot more than that if we really talking, because everybody's using the language these days. Everybody's using the word liberation. Everybody's using the word self-determination, right? It's no longer just some nationalist thing off to the side. Progressives feel comfortable using those terms all the time. So if you feel comfortable using those terms, and you got to feel comfortable having that discussion that there is a broader work at play besides whether or not the Democrats win the Senate, because somehow that means that's some power being brought to our community. You know what I mean? And those are the kind of discussions that we push back on and have those conversations, because there's nobody else who's willing to have them. You can't say something about the Democrats, obviously, we're going to get on some mainstream TV. So we got to create these outlets and spaces where we can have these conversations, because otherwise they're just going to be all for naught, right? And folks are going to continue to think that that's the only thing that we need to be thinking about or caring about.
Somebody, speaking of that, somebody earlier in the chat, I'll have to see if I can go back and find it. Yeah, there it is. Ross had a little joke on Kamau that he likes you better on Renegade Culture than on the Real News Network. And my guess is that's because you're doing different work. You're playing a different role in those spaces. And there are, and I get Ross is joking, but I mean, but that is the case. I mean, you're.
If someone is asking you for your analysis, I don't think they want to hear some old stories of me telling somebody to shut the fuck up, right? I don't think that's not going to be, that's not why I'm there, right? But I agree with that. I think, whatever small public profile I have, if anybody's seen interviews, they're usually, I'm kicking whatever I think the knowledge is that I'm kicking. Hopefully I'm doing it well. But it is definitely more of a punditry type of way, right? Even if it's a radical punditry, there's still more punditry. And one of the things we spoke about earlier with this show is it is it's not all me, but this is me a lot of times when I'm talking to my people, right? When I'm just chatting it up, or I'm making some joke, which, anybody who's known me in terms of my organizing circles and work, like I'm the dude that, it comes out the face they don't expect it to come out of, but it's like, I'll say some wild shit about everybody and anybody, just because it's like, I may think it's funny. I don't have any sacred cows. So it's good to have a place where, you can't always do anything you want. At least I don't believe in that. I don't believe in you just do everything and anything. But I like the fact that we've created this space where more often than not, it's just like let's just have this conversation. Let's just be, let's just be down and have this conversation. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's great to have a space where you can fall back and do the politics and have some more fun. You don't have to be that way in every setting for everything. So I think and I also think it's important that other outlets would find value in having you on as a pundit. I mean, I think it's important that your analysis get there, even if it's not in the full Renegade Culture packaging. Speaking of which, by the way, I don't know anything other than that this person goes by Mother, but they have won all of the prizes. And good, hopefully Kalonji can get back on here to hear about this victory that Mother has just pulled off. Because Mother has gotten accurately that the ear doctor and Minister Server are two of the other three members of Renegade Culture not currently present with us. And someone else Ebony, I think, got Jai is the third. So very good. And then Mother also got the fact that Jimmy by BDP is the origin of the Renegade Culture theme song. Very well done. Shout out to old school hip hop and those who know about it. And then they also got correct. I think this is correct. I was somewhat joking, but I think it's correct that I am the one with the most appearances on Renegade Culture. The most.
Yes, brother.
That's right. And I want to be the what Tom Hanks is the SNL, Saturday Night Live. I want to be the Renegade Culture. So I appreciate that.
You're here.
So Mother will be in touch. You got $50 plus something coming for Renegade swag, Renegade Culture swag. So we all gonna be outfitted for the holiday season.
Triplets.
Huh?
Triplets or quadruplets? I said we're going to look like quadruplets for the
holiday
season.
Right. That's right.
Put up Nikki Scott's comment.
Who?
Nikki Scott.
Nikki Scott. Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm fine. Okay, there we go.
I just saw that down here. So I think Nikki don't understand what's being said for a second.
Oh, I don't understand when blacks in America who take the position that our people engaging in civics is a waste of time. You are subjected to the laws of that land. Why would you not engage on some? All right. On some level, especially as it relates to issues that directly affect you. Good question.
And I just wanted to and I think it's the nuance that people continually miss when we have these political discussions. So no one said don't participate, but there's an over-reliance that somehow participating in Democratic and or Republican politics, mainstream politics, is some liberatory act, right? So I think that's the issue. When you use language, if you're just a mainstream political person, of course you do it because that's what you expect. That's what I expect, right? But if you profess politics around self-determination, revolution, liberation, black nationalism, some revolutionary politics, but you spend so much time engaged in those politics and you don't open it up even to even think about what grassroots organizing and other kinds of forms of political work that we need to do in our community and how necessary that is, because you're not going to build, if you're talking about Black people controlling organizations and resources and institutions, that's not happening through the Democratic Party. The minute that they think Black people will take control of the Democratic Party, all the funding of the Democratic Party will leave that party, right? They think you have a politic in particular that is not about capitalism and white supremacy and white people controlling things or being a major part of controlling things. The moment they think that you come with an ethos that's opposed to that, same white folks that funded Democrats start a new party, and you're going to be left with that empty shell you worked so hard to obtain. So I think it's about the nuance and the understanding that that's what we're saying, is that obviously there's work to be done in those areas because there's policy work to be done that impacts our people. But there's also areas that of creating institutions and organizations that we have complete and total control over, because otherwise other people are going to continually be dominating over us, right? School systems, police systems, other systems. We got to control these. We got to control things that have control over our everyday lives and aspects. And that's not going to happen because you vote. So I just want some clarity around that.
And I think that a lot of these folks are quick to jump on the whole Democratic bandwagon, right? The Democratic Party. I think that, it's important to study this particular party. I mean, we're talking about less than 50 years that they've even acknowledged Black folks, to be quite honest with you. You know what I mean? They've been traditionally against Black folks in America. So I think that, we've been sold this new, improved, packaged feces. You understand what I'm saying? So we no longer call it shit or doo-doo. We call it feces. You know what I mean? And we make it look good. And we put it in a cute box, and we put a bow on it, and we put a Black woman in office as vice president, you know what I'm saying, who's historically been a piece of shit herself. You know what I mean? But we don't want to talk about that because of the fact that we're busy talking about what the current racists in office is talking about. I think that it's important for us to really focus on local politics because, as we know, all politics are local. Work on changing what's in your community, work on changing what's in your city on a local level, and then work your way out. Because I think that, getting caught up in this who's going to be the next czar of the empire is really not advantageous. If you're talking about, abolition, if you're talking about let's just get rid of the system as a whole, then we're all for it. Otherwise, we're running around in circles and arguing with each other about how capitalism and imperialism should be packaged this time around.
See, Nikki, we came to an agreement. We came to an agreement.
Yes,
yeah, that's right. and in terms of the point the issue I brought up earlier, I just think it's what I liked about the whole Jimmy Dore thing is that he's operating outside of the ranges set by the Democratic Party establishment. So to me, I definitely agree with what has just been said, but and that we not address ourselves to these systems only using their ranges of thought. What they say is the acceptable approach. Do you all? Somebody was asking a question about. Here we go. Do you all deal with this in any of your work? The critique of the as he says here, the so-called pandemic. Where do Pan-Africanists go to discuss the avoidance of the plethora of scientific fallacies in all of this? I honestly don't deal much with it, although I do stay in touch with two brothers that I know who came through the Africana Studies and Research Center with and before me, who are medical professionals, EMTs and medical doctors, one trained in Cuba, and which I trust more than anything. And they assure me and us that this stuff is very real, that the conspiracy is more in the healthcare system and the unequal distribution of resources, but not in the idea that there is this disease and they are watching people die while they're literally saying, I don't have COVID. So believing the critique. So that's what I hear from medical professionals I trust. I don't get my information from mainstream media on this issue, but anyway, do either of you deal with this or have you? I don't recall. Anyway, I might have missed it, but has Renegade Culture dealt with this, or do you all deal with this question?
Yeah. For me, I actually, I got sacked by the whole COVID virus situation.
That's right.
So I was out the box for a couple of weeks, damn near 3 weeks. I hear people talking about, the whole conspiracies and all that. I really, all I know is I was fucked up. I don't trust the government. Like I said in previous episodes, I won't be getting a vaccination. I do trust science, but I don't trust science under U.S. control. I don't trust the CDC. I don't trust the World Health Organization. You know what I mean? Because they have a history of everything from, exterminating our people through everything from, of course, Tuskegee and the whole smallpox situation with the natives, but also through the what do you call this shit? Sager, Margaret Sager, the
Planned Parenthood,
and all that type of shit. So, I really don't know. That's not my expertise. It's not my field. All I know is that the virus is real. I know that there have been several people, friends and family, who had contracted it. One of our folks is sick right now, one of the members of the organization. I know that for myself, I've had different types of flus and all that type shit, but I've never felt anything like this. You know what I mean? So how they came up, do I believe that the government produced it? I do believe it's chemical biological warfare to an extent, and I think that it's something designed to, for population control. That's just my belief. Now, is it, in regards to science and all that, I'm not a scientist, you know what I mean? So I'm not going to get caught up in all that. But I know that, I don't know if masks work or none of that shit. But I know that I'm going to use whatever preventive methods that I could to protect my loved ones. So fortunately, my family didn't get sick. I was able to quarantine and keep things out the way. But I lost 14 pounds. I was fucked up personally. So I don't know what anybody else thinks or feel. I pray and hope that you don't get it. Let me just say that.
Kamau, you have anything on that?
No, I mean, I'll quickly say, this is one of those things where, and again, I think this part of being in Black organizing grassroots communities, folks have different ideas and alternative medicines and other things that they subscribe to and believe in out of the basis of, and I think the rightful basis, that not only the American government, but internationally speaking, white supremacy, European domination and control has meant that they will do almost anything, right, to stay in control. So I think that's always a wise thing to keep in mind. But then I do, in my own opinion, what I consider some analysis of like what's the situation, what's happening. For instance, in this situation, do I think it's a European designed or white American or white folks designed thing to bring us down? I'd say no, because it's hit Europe and United States hard. And the idea would be it would hit Africa and other places of color harder than it would hit Europe, right? The idea that just that people in very high positions are getting the vaccine first, to me, says that they are not necessarily opposed to the vaccine in terms of how you would spread it if you wanted to damage some other people. So it's not so much that I trust the government, right, or by any stretch of the imaginations, but I think I agree with a little bit what you said earlier, is that this day within healthcare, science still gets it wrong, but the idea of like medical care and science to me is about the inadequate resources that our community gets, and the fact that this pandemic shows where we're at on the economic scale and level, because we're the frontline workers, and so we're the ones getting sick more, right? We're the ones who don't have health care, so we're the ones who can't go to the hospital and get the appropriate remedies. Even before the vaccine came out, they may cure us. And so those are the things, the sort of medical apartheid are the things that I think are truly what this pandemic are showing and bringing out again for us. So it's the kind of thing that I think we have to be wary of. I agree with Kalonji. I agree with Kalonji as in, I'm not going to be the first one to get the vaccine. I may get it 8 months later after I see folks ain't dropping. But I'm not going to be lining up as no volunteer to get the vaccine, because I just don't trust that you're going to whip something together that fast and it potentially will work, right? And work the way it's supposed to work without the side effects. So I'm not saying that that may be the cause of that may happen in every vaccine, but I'm just going to wait for a little while. But then I've got other vaccines, so I will potentially get this vaccine in the future.
And I don't know, we have a choice, right? I mean, we have to all wait anyway. The way that's coming out, we're going to end up having to wait anyway. Go ahead.
I want to bring a point of clarity too, because of the fact I don't want to confuse the listeners, right? I'm not on some, it's the white man, and he's looking to destroy black people. Let's be clear. When we're talking about capitalism don't give a fuck what color you are. You understand what I'm saying? We're talking about world domination. We're talking about destroying anything that doesn't go in line with what it is they're talking about. So that includes poor white trash. It includes, they're cool with population control. History's shown that, So it's not a situation where I'm just saying, it's a spooky conspiracy theory where they just want to kill black folks, so on and so forth, whoop-de-whoop. Black folks, you know what I'm saying? Barack Obama is supposed to be black. You know what I'm saying? Niggas in high places, are the same as crackers to me. Don't get it twisted. Don't just think that I think that because I live in Atlanta, as the Rubas say, where the slaves run a plantation. When I get pulled over by a fucking cop, it don't matter whether he's black or white. In fact, most of the white cops in Atlanta have let me go for shit where black cops have fucking hemmed me up. You know what I mean? We've had more instances and more problems with these slave catchers who look like us. So I don't get confused. Don't get confused in thinking that we're just saying that the white man's the devil. Yeah, the white man is the fucking devil, but there's black devils as well. But I'm not getting caught up in spookism and just saying that all things white are bad and all things black is good. If that's the case, we wouldn't have Mobutu. So we got to be clear with what it is we're doing here.
I don't know how you all are on time, but this question came in, and we can forgive Brother Shabazz for his. We can give him a late pass on this one. But Kamau, I know you have deep experience with all of this involved in this question, and it also relates to another question that came up again about the value of grassroots electoral politics and mayoral control. I don't know if there's anything you would want to say about that. I'm trying to find another question.
I was a deep part of the Jackson plan. I used to be in Malcolm X graduate school, been in Napo, went down to Jackson. So I think that the thing is that it's a good thing to look at, because there were positives, but there are definitely negatives that came out of the Jackson plan. Some of it is still going, right? Some of it is still going in terms of having Chokwe Lumumba Jr. in the mayor seat, right? The question becomes, will a mayor alone, without the outside pressure, force, political organization do anything, even a radical mayor who says that they want to do something, right? Even if I took like Ashokwe at his word and said he wants to make Jackson the most radical place in the country, right? If I took that at its word, I still would have to think, what are the forces against something like that? You have the state apparatus, you have the federal apparatus, you have bond givers and takers, the financial apparatus, who will say, like, slow your roll, right? And if you do something outside of the line, well, your bond ratings are just about to plummet, right? And so the state will say, well, you can't use this money to do ABC. So even if I took somebody at their word on that, without the outside organizing force to be a counter to the large, rich government and individual financing that takes place, even in a relatively state, or not even relatively, a poor state like Mississippi, right? There's not going to be success and the end all be all. So, for me, it was about whether or not that engine on the ground is doing what it said it was going to do. And if it's not doing what it said it's going to do, then it don't matter who's mayor. Mm-hmm. It don't matter who you can have. We had a revolution with Chokwe Lumumba Sr. Definitely, you could have Kwame Ture, right? You could have Malcolm X could have been the mayor. It don't matter, right? Unless you got a force that can be oppositional in numbers, strength, size, a cutting strategy that can take that on to even beat it back, you're always going to be in a losing position. And so I think that's something that needs to be studied in terms of what's happened and what continues to happen with the Jackson Plan, in addition to the infighting that happened within the Jackson Plan. So I think that's something that people need to study, look at, ask deeper questions, continue to have conversations about.
The last question I have for the both of you, for now at least, is that it was something sort of brought up already in the discussion of the name Renegade Culture that actually comes up with my students even just this past week in terms of longevity and activism and some of the prices people pay for a lifetime as activists. Is there anything you all could say about your experiences in organizations and sometimes finding yourselves as those renegades who are seen as not befitting of certain organizational efforts, despite your commitment to the struggle? Sometimes, honestly, I've even felt it myself to a lesser extent. The being you feel like you're committed to something that is somehow simultaneously pushing you out, or keeping you at arm's length, and you can't even identify what the hell is going on, but you wake up. In fact, somebody sent me an email tonight and was talking about that they felt like I had cut them off, and I'm saying, brother, I'm the one in exile. I'm in Black radical exile. What's going on? Like, what are you talking about? Anyway, but I just think it's nothing personal, but it's just sometimes these days, I don't know. Is there, so that way, I did want to ask you all if you would say something on that before we break for now, but. Yeah.
You want to start first?
Yeah, I'll go quickly.
Yes.
I mean, I do think that part of organizing, particularly in the United States. I mean, I think there's it's a bigger truth around the debates, discussions, the breakups, and all that kind of stuff. But I think within the United States, in particular, with the over-reliance on sort of the nonprofit industrial complex as the form in which organizing has now started to take place within, right? Even like radical organizing, right? The organization, community movement builders, as radical as we are, we built a 501c3 structure so that we could receive funding, right? So I think that alone, and then right now is what's all the ability now for people to use organizing as a career, right? To not do almost nothing. And then to shoot up because, like we said, some media outlet decides that you're the new Black leader, right? Talk about D-Ray, and or Sean King, a couple other ones too.
Who's not even Black?
Yeah, I mean, just they all of a sudden you the Black leader. You the 20
he might be. I don't know, man. I don't even.
So I think that kind of stuff. One, it just breeds that kind of infighting and issues that I think are hard for us to figure out how to deal with. And then two, I think sometimes, at least in my own experiences, people want you to get along and they don't care if the work gets done. Mm. And when I got into organizing, I was a zealot. I was the dude with the 4 pins on each side, like Kalonji was talking about. I had flyers in my bag if I had nothing else in my bag. I went to law school with the Malcolm T-shirt, the Free Mamiya buttons, the Panther buttons. You know what I mean? Looking at people like, what? Who want to fight? What you here for? That kind of thing. So I thought that's what we all was for. Like, this was like a life commitment. This wasn't a career. It was a commitment. And I'm not saying other people haven't been just as committed as I am. I surely know people who have, but I do know that folks took departures from organizing to build careers where I probably destroyed my own career because I was so committed to my grassroots organizing. It wasn't careerism. Law school wasn't careerism for me, right? The organizing wasn't careerism. And I think that can get you in a place where people look at you like you're not down for the program, whatever the program is. Mm-hmm. So I you know, and sometimes it can be hard on your family. You're trying to, you know, like everybody else, you're trying to survive and do your thing. But I also take it as a badge of honor. And sometimes, you know what I mean? If you want to do grassroots organizing, it's going to be a struggle. And you got to be ready to be in the struggle. I'm not saying to be contraire for the sake of being contraire, but you got to be ready to be in the struggle. You got to be ready to forgive. You got to be ready to argue. You got to be ready to prove your points. You got to be able to do that work and fall down and get back up and do it again, because that's what the organizing is, right? And if it was going to be easy, you know, you wouldn't be needed to do it. The Panthers wouldn't be dead, right? They wouldn't be COINTELPRO. Folks wouldn't be in jail, right? The reason why our particular struggle is so hard is because the government has already figured out something us fools have not, that it works. That's what liberation is about. It's about creating your own and doing your own and creating these alternative institutions and organizations and these radical movements. The government knows that, right? That's why they destroy it every chance they get and replace it with some infantile leader who decides that like they know what's best for us, right? Or they come up with good slogans that become ubiquitous, but don't do anything for our larger community. So I think that's just part of what the movement struggle is. And it doesn't deter me from acting in it. And we just got to keep on going and pushing.
Right on. Kalonji, you want to get in on that? We got strong words from my godfather, Thomas Porter, Mr. Tom Porter. Okay. So that's always a good sign, because he will definitely let us know when we mess up.
I'm glad he called us young too, because I'm like,
well, I guess from his vantage point, it might feel that, because I talk to my students all day, so I feel old as hell. So I appreciate it.
Man, listen, you know, I think that I used to say it's lonely in these streets. You know what I mean? Because of the fact that, you know, I go back to the 80s with the whole holding up posters on the corner by myself and, you know, free such and such, and motherfuckers laughing at you and splashing water on you. And, you know, you got to bust somebody's snot box to let them know that you're not a game, you know, to passing out food and folks laughing and, you know, and, oh man, if the police if they didn't do nothing and the police went, from all that bullshit, right? So I always looked at myself as the bad guy of the good guys. You know what I'm saying? If I was a Marvel character, I'd be like the Incredible Hulk. It's like, you know, you call me to help get shit in order to break some shit up, but then I'm lonely afterwards. You know what I mean? You ain't fucking with me when things go down. When everybody else turn their back on me, I got to walk, you know, and I'm going to keep my head up, but I got to walk lonely. So it's like movement and struggle. When you're serious about this, you're going to be an outcast. You know, we have to realize, for the listeners, the one thing that we got to keep in mind, because oftentimes people talk about black folks can't stick together and all of this other, you know, beautiful bullshit. The reality is there's class struggle. You know what I mean? And class struggle is one of the number one issues when it comes to organizing. You know what I mean? Because of the fact that we're politicized in different ways. You know, me personally, I'm from Bridgeport, Connecticut. I'm 45 minutes away from Uptown. I grew up in the projects. I grew up in the hood. You know what I mean? It's not a badge of honor. That's just what the fuck it is. You know what I mean? And if I had my way, if I had to do it all over again, I would grow up in those particular projects, because of the fact that if nothing else, it taught me community more than I've ever seen in the quote unquote revolutionary world, or in the so-called conscious community. And it taught me how to be prepared for the reality of what I'm saying, what I'm dealing with in regards to capitalism. You know what I mean? Because of the fact that you're on the ground floor. One thing I learned with these cats that call themselves grassroots is, you know, we're talking about two different things when we talk about grassroots. If they're grassroots, then we're like fucking underground. We're the what's the shit on February 2nd, 3rd that comes up, the little
groundhog.
We're fucking groundhogs. We're underground. You know what I mean? And that's why the Siafu, the ant, is our logo, because of the fact that we try to keep our position. We try to maintain it. We're small in a big world, but together we can move shit. You know what I mean? So when I first came to Atlanta, 16 going on 17 years ago, the first thing I did is I went around to I did an assessment. I asked folks, you know, what are the organizations here in the city of Atlanta? So the first thing I did is I went around to every single organization that existed in 2004. Anything that I knew about, and I'm not going to name any particular movements, but or organizations, but basically in a nutshell, I ran across so much arrogance. I ran across so many people that literally damn near patted me on my head and told me what I can do and how I can get down with them, and just like real, you know, bastards. And the thing is, like an elephant, I don't forget shit. I might excuse it, but I'm gonna keep it in the back of my mind. So I still remember certain names and certain faces or whatever. Then we ran into issues or whatever because of the fact that, like Kamau, I thought when motherfuckers was talking about they were revolutionaries, I thought they meant it. I mean, silly me. I thought they was talking about, look, if we had principles, if we was talking about accountability and responsibility and all that, then we were gonna live by it. So the first time we had to move on some motherfuckers, cats looking at us like, oh, I can't believe you slapped the shit out of them. But I thought that's what we said. You know what I'm saying? I thought that's what we were talking about. So I was confused. And the first chance that folks got to turn their backs on myself and our organization, so many people jumped on the bandwagon. Now it's safe to say that a good 95% of the folks who jumped on the bandwagon to try to quote unquote get rid of us, they had to at some point work with us because of the fact that we've been consistent. You understand what I'm saying? And consistency overshadows and outpowers all that bullshit. There's been so many organizations come and go. You know what I mean? There's been so many organizations that popped up. I even had a cat I was doing an interview maybe about a year ago. And this brother that was interviewing myself and his new organizer, he asked the organizer, what do you think about Brother Kalonji and FTP movement? He said, yeah, they cool, man. You know, that, but we the MVPs. I was like, wow. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, just Eric, like I ain't even on the phone, like, fuck this old nigga. You know what I'm saying? So he said he's MVP. So my man said, well, what do you think about that? I said, yeah, y'all the MVPs and shit. I said, but we Hall of Fame, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? MVPs come and go. You understand what I'm saying? MVPs can be for a season. You could be the flavor of the month. But the reality is, at the end of the day, when you're talking about organizing, when you're talking about movement and struggle, you're talking about our people's liberation, you know what I mean? It's not about any individual. It's about what the fuck can we do collectively. And I know, and I'm going to say this in as cocky as I can, because I really don't give a fuck. I just turned 52 weeks ago, and I feel good about it.
Hey, congratulations. Happy belated.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to say this, that there are a lot of great organizers out there. But I know that one gift that I have is the ability to bring people together who normally wouldn't come together. I have the ability to take people's skill sets and make that shit work in the interest of our people. I'm not the best organizer. I'm not the best fighter. But I try to align myself with the best of the best. You understand what I'm saying? And that's one thing that can't nobody take away from me. I don't give a fuck if you like me or don't like me. I have a fucking track record of consistency. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't come here to get a bunch of likes on Facebook. When I post some shit, if I like it, motherfucker, I liked it. You don't like it, so what? You know what I'm saying? If you like me, great. But at the end of the day, it's about, you know, either we're going to win or we're going to lose. Little Brother said, do we really, the rap group Little Brother said, do we really want to win or do we want to look good losing? Right now, for years, for decades, we've looked so fucking good losing. I almost cried the other day, and I'm going to say this because I really don't give a fuck. these clowns, this whole new government operation, the new version of the new Black Panther parties, the NFAC, which the government brought about and said, look, put these new motherfuckers up here because these other clowns, they look so clownish that no one's gonna believe them anymore. So come out with some new motherfuckers with guns. This new cat, they got locked up, which I believe, and I'm gonna go on record and saying this, and I don't give a fuck again. I believe that they arrested this dude to make our people think that oh, it's cool. You know what I'm saying? He really is a freedom fighter. They told that motherfucker, come sit your ass in the cell for a day or so. Let them raise some money and make yourself look like a legitimate freedom fighter. I looked online the other day and I was so floored when I saw that our people collected over $150-something thousand. I believe it was $180-something thousand to for this man's campaign. We have political prisoners who have been on lock for 40 years, for 50 years plus, and some of them haven't made $10,000 as far as towards their defense. You know what I mean? So we ought to be ashamed of ourselves for looking for these flavors of the month. We ought to be ashamed of ourselves for looking for these microwave militants for our revolution and for our survival and for our victory. You know what I mean? I'm not saying kiss the ass of nobody, but I'm just saying all of these elders and these OGs, these original guerrillas who put this work in way before any of us existed. Let's pay homage to them. Now, I'm not saying we have to follow everything that they're on because of the fact that I know that times have changed and even some of the things that we believe have to be refined because of the fact that we've been, we're not the millennials. We're not the new order of operations. So many things have changed mechanically, technologically. You know what I mean? The internet, all this shit. These are tools that we didn't have coming up. We didn't have no damn cell phones or no personal computers or no social media, which I'm totally grateful because growing up in the 80s, we'd all been indicted and we wouldn't be sitting here talking right now because these motherfuckers record everything, you know. But to all the listeners, the brothers and sisters out there, you know, major respect to you. Join an organization, get involved in something that is about something. We have community movement builders over here who's putting in grassroots work. We have the FTP movement. We've been putting in grassroots work. We have Urban Survival Preparedness Institute, Mama's Army, and so many other different formations out here and formations around the country and around the world that are serious about what they're doing. Some of these pop-up joints that just showed up a week ago or a month ago or this particular season for this particular rebellion, you know, you might want to give that some thought. You know what I mean? But listen to Renegade Culture. Listen to I Mix What I Like. And that's the win right there.
I can't think of a better way to end it. And unfortunately, I think it is time to wrap it up. But Kamau, Kalonji, again, man, peace to both of you, man. I really appreciate the long track record of work and the continued good work you're still doing. I missed the last episode. I got to get caught up on the latest edition of Renegade Culture. I'm going to get to that later tonight and I invite everybody to do the same. And we'll catch you as soon as possible. Thanks again to the both of you.
Peace.
Hey,
thank you, Black Man.
All right. So yeah, peace to the Renegade Culture crew. Big thanks to them for coming through. Thanks to all of you who stuck around for this discussion. If you can stick around, come back in about 90 minutes. We got Head Rock, the mayor of DC hip hop, Head Rock and Naughton. We got Tim Hicks of the Cornell West Theory, DC hip hop legendary rhymers, activists. Tim's, well, as he says, let the dirty say amen. So we'll let the dirty say amen. Catch you in a few minutes. If not, catch you in the replays, catch you in the whirlwind, like Garvey said. And of course, as Fred Hampton used to say, to you, we say peace if you're willing to fight for it. So peace, everybody. Catch you next time. I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.